Okay,
Got it.
so the Education Committee is delighted to have Sarah Gritzimer present tonight on eBird. She's, for many of us, our star eBirder. Okay, any question we have about eBird, we go to Sarah. So some things about her: she's a retired nurse, lives in Sunderland, is scouting all the time on eBird. Where is this bird? We should go here. We should go there. And so those of us who bird with her rely on her. Instead of doing our own research, we say, "Oh, Sarah will tell us where we should go." We should go. And the other piece to know is she was recently honored in the Bird Observer with a photograph of the Western Meadowlark. And several of us who are on tonight were there that first time of the Western Meadowlark. But Sarah's picture was published in color online and black and white if you get the paper copy. And that's thanks to another HBC board member who connected Bird Observer to Sarah for her picture. That's Josh. So we were able to supply questions to Sarah about what we wanted to learn. And she has put together a fine presentation on answering those questions, and probably will take a few more. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. Laura says she's going to monitor them so that we get set. The other thing I'd suggest, if you have, some of this is going to be on a phone or an Android phone or iPhone, I suggest you have it handy. Or if you're saying, oh, I'm trying to do it online, they work differently. You can do different things. So if you need, get your phone ready. Okay, Sarah, take it away.
Okay, great. I will start off with, so we got a lot of questions and I kind of divided them up into categories. So we could kind of have a little flow with certain ones clumped together. And there were several questions about exploring data, everything from really exploring data and wanting to know what was going on with birds to, as Janice said, where should I go birding today? And so we'll do that. And then there were a lot of questions about sort of the mechanics of eBird and making lists and locations and how to change things and how to make it more relevant to your own listing. And so we'll look at that. And then there was a couple of questions about privacy, which is an interesting topic, and we can talk about that too. And then the last thing that we'd like to talk about is trip reports, which is a new feature on eBird that they were working on, but they worked on it in collaboration with the Christmas bird count people, because it was a way to blend the two styles of bird recording. I don't mean audio recording, I mean the way in which we list. As you know, the CBC lists things in toto, and eBird likes segmented lists. So we'll talk about that too. They're fun. Okay. I'm going to go to share now. And here we go. Can everybody see my screen?
Yep, we can see it.
Okay, looks like eBird to you guys.
Yep.
Okay, so let's just start with the explore topic, because it's really what can help guide you when you get out and bird. And across the top of eBird, there's a lot of ways to get into things. You can also, and there's explore and there's submit lists. I'm sure you're both aware of those. And when you go into my eBird, which is your own group of information, I'm going to click on that first. And all these same choices are still here, plus a whole bunch of others that we can. So there's a lot of ways to get in and out of data. Don't you love this picture of the willow ptarmigan? It's just gorgeous. Oh God, I forgot you guys are all muted. Anyway, okay, so let's talk about explore. When you go into explore, you have the choice of species, regions, hotspots, and bar charts. We have a couple of questions about that. So the first thing I'd like to address is that somebody had some nice questions about, if I'm new to an area, any area, where do I start? And I would say, if you had just arrived in this area, I would start with the region. And so if you go to the region and type in Hampshire County, yes, then what you'll get is what's going on in Hampshire County now. And you see the most recent birds being seen, that species observed. There's, you can switch it to see what checklists are out there. And this also is interesting. You see the people, their checklist dates. It also tells you where they're going. And then you can say, well, where is this UMass campus pond that people are going to see this great white-fronted goose? And so then there's hotspots over here. And that's where they all are. That's where you can find out what the most popular birding areas are in any county in the US. And I don't know, Janice, in Panama, are they by some other kind of district, or is it countrywide? If you go overseas, it changes a little.
In Panama, it will go by provinces, and
Yeah.
then by various communities in the provinces, and then by various hotspots like Quabbin or Arcadia. Same way.
And you're also getting a taste of what people are seeing and taking pictures of. Because as you know, when people make a list, they may take some pictures of some things, but certainly not of everything on their list. Like this person didn't take a picture of 300 Canada geese. Don't blame them. Okay, so then if you go way over to the right and click on map, you can see where all these hotspots are. And there they are. I mean, there's a million of them. As you know, there's a lot of birders in Hampshire County. And you can see like, woo, this is Hampshire County. Then you're getting up here to Franklin County. Look at this sort of Western Mass before you get all the way out to Pittsfield. So then you can just zoom in and sort of pick out things. And somebody, the same person who asked about where do I go, I think it was Beth. And what do you do if you're looking for a type or a suite of birds? She said, like grassland birds. Well, that eBird doesn't necessarily sort birds that way for you, but you can look at the map and find out where the grasslands are, and then look at some of those hotspots and see if they're seeing anything that's what you're interested in. Let's see what this is. Cowbridge Road. It's not really grassland. We know where the grassland is. It's down at the Westover Airport. Westover Grassland Complex. So if you pick that, you're going to see just what's going on in that area. And you'll see if there's grassland birds there, which are probably not at this time of year, but that's how you would get to trying to find a particular category of bird. You could also do that if you went to regular Explore and typed in a species that might represent grasslands for you, like the upland sandpiper, which is down there at Westover. If you type in upland sandpiper and click on it, you're going to go down, scroll down to the range map, click on large map. Don't click on the screen view, click on the large map word, and then you can zero in. You can put in Hampshire County, get closer in. These are places it's been seen. Blue means it's more than a month ago. Then you can change the date up here and make it closer. Maybe you want to see June and July in the past 10 years. There they are. So this is where you're going to find your grassland birds. Does that make sense? Okay.
Yes,
So
it
this
did.
is, yeah, this is the same way. I'm going to change the species now to snow bunting. And I'm going to do that for a reason. Somebody had asked where to find a species such as a snow bunting. Then I'm going to, this is like for, you want to do it now. So I'm going to change the date. I'm going to make it all February. Just now, only seen in this month, current year. So February, current year, I'm going to set the date. And then I'm going to do Hampshire again. Put that in for the location. And you can see where people are seeing snow buntings. The big balloons are hotspots. And when they're red, that means it's very recent. And I'm going in here for a reason. This is a honeypot. We see them there a lot. And this is the East Meadows. But I'm going to keep going in. You can see there's, I'm going to click on the hotspot, lots of sightings of snow bunting. So that's where you would go if you wanted to see them, right up until February 20th. Now, there was a question about, if you go into snow bunting, let me see if I can get out of this. Let me go back to explore, put in the species. Oh, before I do that, let's look at bar charts. Bar charts are over here. This is a great way to get data. Now, this is a very important screen for you to understand, because if you have worked with computers for a while, you can see this is an old style of programming. But we'll go through, and the reason I want to say this is this is something eBird hasn't updated recently. So I'm going to click on Massachusetts. I'm going to click on counties in Massachusetts. And then I'm going to continue. Go back to Hampshire and continue. Now it's going to show me all the birds, and there, what's nice is you see the frequency of when they come and go. Again, you can shorten the date, but their choices are limited to months, is the smallest you can get. So you could do February to February, and you could do it for this year. And we'll see what's happening this year. So you can see what's been going on around here just this year so far. Now that is the closest you can get. Mary Alice, this is for you. They won't let you do a weekly. You only get a monthly. And the question was looking for snow buntings at the Northampton airport. Snow buntings are down in near the Sparrows. Let's see. So here they are. And there's obviously snow buntings being seen in January and February in Hampshire County. If I click on snow bunting and go to snow bunting, it's going to show me a weekly bar chart. But look at this as a key word here, region. It's not, it won't let me pull up Northampton Airport. It will only let me pick a region, which is Hampshire County. I can try it. So you won't. These are counties. So if I go to Hampshire, Mass, I can and get a weekly bar chart. And this is an average forever for Hampshire County for snow buntings. Now, how did I do this? Let's see. Snow bunting. If I go to snow bunting and Northampton Airport, let me go back to snow bunting, which I can do. Go back to the map. Now I can put in Northampton Airport. Northampton Airport, Old Ferry Road. And if I wanted to go down there this year, I set the date range to this year. Oh, it took me away. And you can see there's no dots, there's no sightings. And that's because no one has put in an entry for the Northampton Airport, even though it is a hotspot. They're all being seen over here in the East Meadows. So although the data that's presented in the bar charts is fascinating, it doesn't give you weekly for a hotspot. It gives you an average weekly for a region. Monthly, you can get a monthly bar chart for a hotspot. So those are your choices. And probably at some point, Cornell will get around to updating bar charts, but that's where they stand. That's where they've been for a while. Okay, how are we doing on Explore? All right, I'll go on to talk. Let's talk about locations, because can people still hear me? Janice, wave.
Yes,
Am I
you're-
good?
we can still hear
Okay.
you.
Okay,
Yeah.
great. So if we go to, people wanted to know, like when you mess up your locations, and there's a lot of ways you can end up with multiple locations, and a lot of it has to do with switching back and forth between using your phone and using your computer. And the phone is, it's great in the field because it's fast and they keep it simple on purpose. But if you want to do things like manipulate your locations, it's usually better to do it on the computer because it's just hard to see the whole map of the area on your phone. So over here on the list, I'm now in my eBird, and then we'll go to locations, which are over here. These are, what happened to my look? Oh, highest first location. Okay, I made some bogus lists. I made some fake news for us to play with. So let's say you had you went birding in your yard and you ended up with a bunch of different lists. And over time, you kept putting them. So let's see, if I go to this one and you can see it. There it is. And I want to merge it. I want to merge it with 222 because they're really the same list. Now, here's the game. This is 111, 222, 333, 444, 555. These are all my made up lists. So, and I did it this way on purpose because there's nothing else going on in that area. There's no lists, there's no hotspots. These are hotspots, the red ones. These are personal lists around here, but these are the ones we're going to play with. So the way to merge them is we're in 111 called test disregard, and we're going to merge it and select the location on the map. So I'm going to pick this one right next to it. 222. So it's going to merge them and we'll see what happens. And if you merge, that's it, they're merged. Now, if I go, are you sure this cannot be undone? Yes. So 111 went away, and now 222 has two lists. It was the 1111 and the 222 one. And if I look at 222, I can go over here and look at my checklist, and there's two checklists. So that's how you take a bunch if you keep going to the same place and you end up with a bunch of spots. And that does happen sometimes on the phone, because you might pick the first one that comes up when they ask you, do you want to use this one? And it wasn't exactly the one you wanted to use. Or you don't pick the one that you use and they just put in a random GPS coordinates for you. So let's go back. Somebody wanted to know how to rename. You just enter the new name. You can just call it 222 tests and you click rename, and that becomes the location. And then if you see my location list now, so 222 is called test, 111 test disregard has gone away. That's how you rename it. So then let's say you have a list that you got home and you looked on the bigger map and you had chosen a spot while you were out in the field and it wasn't really the spot. You can move it. So you can put it over here if you want. There it is. And I just moved it.
Sarah, this is Janice. When you moved it, it was automatically saved?
Yeah. Yeah. So if I go back in and look at it again, it's over. What did I move 222? No, I think I moved 3. Let me go back. Which one did I move?
I don't remember.
3. I moved 3.
3.
I can find, because if I hit the merge button, I get to see them all. Yeah, see here are the ones that are left over. So
Okay.
3 went over there, 1 is gone, and that's 2. You know, that's 2, that's 4, and that's 5.
Sarah, let me ask you, does anybody have a question on the merging or moving? If you do, unmute your mic and ask your
Wait.
question, please.
I do. Sarah, are you
Yeah.
saying I can't do that on my phone? I have to do it on my computer. Is that correct?
The only thing you cannot merge on your phone. You have to do that on the computer. You can move the dot and you can rename it on your phone. And I have now let me see. I tried, because I can't show you my phone, unfortunately, but I can show you if I can move this out of the way.
Yes,
Whoa.
Sarah saw the Stellar's
Yes.
CEO.
Great picture.
It was a giant bird. So let's say you're on your phone, Linda, and that's your first phone. Can you see that, guys?
Yes, yes.
Okay. So that's your first screen, and you hit start the checklist. And there you go. And you get to the checklist, and all at the top, it says auto select.
Yes.
So eBird knows where you are in the world and has already put in a GPS coordinate, whether you want it or not. So, so if you click on that, you'll see this picture of where you are. And it shows where you are, and it shows what it wants to call it. And that's okay. Some people just leave it and go home and deal with it later on the computer like we just did. But if you want to make it prettier now and fix it so you want it where you are, you can either move the dot by clicking on it, and then you say create location. Even if you don't like what they called it, you have to create it first, and then boom, you can change the name of it. So you click on the X, this goes blank, and you can type in Bobo's house and then save. And then it becomes Bobo's house forever after. Does that make sense?
Yes, because that's usually my problem. If I forget to put the location in
Yeah,
before I've left the site, then I
Yeah.
have problems trying to find it on the map when I get
Yes.
home.
Well, when you open your list, go back into your phone and you can open it and click on that and see what they put in for you. And you'll get to something like this. And then you can rename it.
Okay,
And, you know, you can, this is what they'll put in, a random thing with the GPS coordinates, and then you can change it. And like I said, if you don't like, it is harder to do on the phone than on the computer, because look at how much space of the map they show you.
yes, yes.
It's not
yes,
much. And you might
but
say,
when
well, I
have
know
to-
I was down over here. And then it's hard to, it is
Yes.
hard. That's why I like to do it on the computer, but you could drag that down there or click and move it and rename it.
Thank you.
You know, and you'll see when you go on to eBird and look at places, not so much around here because people are always working their lists and working on it, but you go other places around the country and you'll just see a lot of lists that are just GPS coordinates. People don't bother to name their lists. They're not, it's just a different culture, I guess. They don't worry about that so much. Just like there's a lot of places that don't have a lot of hotspots. Oh, nearby hotspots. That was for somebody who is new to an area. Open up your app, you can click on find the hotspots around you, and there they are. That's what that was for. All right. Does that help, Linda?
Yes, thank you, Sarah.
Okay. And anyway, so I just want to mention about the apps and the computers. Everything on the app, just remember this, is only on your phone. Once you submit the list and it goes to eBird, that's the official list. And if you change something on your app, eBird won't know it unless you resubmit it. So if you then go to your computer and change the location, you look back on your phone, it doesn't retrofit it to your phone because the app runs independently. It will retrofit some of the, when you ask for, where am I? When you click on this, it will suggest things that you've nearby, recent lists or your list nearby. It will suggest things. That occasionally gets updated in reverse, but most of the time it doesn't. The best way, if you do want to update your app, is to delete it and re-download it. And then you start over. But you lose everything you've had on it. But as long as you've submitted it all, it's, so the computer eBird is the real eBird. And the app is just a temporary holding place. And it always goes from the app to the computer, but it doesn't always go from the computer to the app. Okay. Let's see. What are we going to talk about now? Privacy. This is important. eBird was not designed to be a private website. It's a sharing website. So it started out quite open, but it has put into place some very useful privacy things. And you go down to preferences here, and this is your page where you can do it all. Now, see, the reason is, let's see. Oh, well, they're going to give us examples on the page. So I'm going to click on preferences over here on the left. And you can see their privacy policy there. And the first thing is how you want your species displayed. That's not privacy, but here it is. So the first choice, this used to be the only choice you had, and they expanded, you can see. So the first choice is whether or not you want your name to be seen and associated with your lists. You've probably seen anonymous eBirder on lists. People certainly do that a lot. Or it's just a person's name. And this is what my account is registered under. Now, if you don't like that and you don't want to be anonymous, they do have, this is newish, you can change your name. So if I wanted to change my name to Stellar's Sea Eagle, I could. And all my lists would say that. I'm not going to do that though. Oops, preferences. So that's one way to be private. Then here's another way to be private, and that is you can hide things. So you can hide data from recent visits. The example of that is these. You can see all the people who've been birding, but you won't see your name if you've clicked that. You can hide data from eBird alerts. And you know what eBird alerts look like. And these are some eBird alerts. So if you had that clicked, it would just never show up there. People do that sometimes if they have found a sensitive bird and or it's in their yard and they don't want 100 people there. You can do that. The other way to hide your eBird alert is just to wait a week, because eBird alerts only last a week before they drop off. That's how it works. Hide your list from the top 100. That's just a fun kind of game thing that eBird does, and some people don't enjoy that, so they just take their name off of that. And then hide your checklist comments. You know, this is like if you don't want to say, I was over at Bobo's house and you know, his daughter came over and threw up on my shoes and it was a terrible day, but we saw a lovely, lovely bald eagle. You can hide that, but you still might want it there because that was your memory of the day. So you can hide that. What you put underneath an actual species, like if you wrote under the bald eagle that it was a beautiful adult, that would still show. Those are public, but only what you write on the side. I don't know if I changed anything, so I'll just back out of it. So what was I going to look at? So I was just going to look at a list and say, did I do anything? So I wanted to look. See, these are the comments you can hide. These you can't. You just, if you don't want people to see it, just don't write anything there. Okay. That's privacy. That's what I know about privacy. And it's a lot more than when they first started out. Are we doing well? I wanted to show you the.
We're doing fine.
Yeah, what I wanted to show you was what I mean by the top 100. I don't know if anybody notices that, but it happens over on the side. So here we are in Hampshire County. And if you scroll down, you see the recent pictures. If you scroll down, you see recent visits. And then if you scroll down some more, you see the top eBirders. This is what they call the top 100. And some people enjoy this. Some people find it anxiety producing. So
And
that's
one is sitting with us.
if you want to take yourself off of this, you can. You know, it all depends on what kind of style of eBirding you want to have. And even, you know, it's funny, I think I think it's more competitive the closer you get to the top. If you're way down here, like here I am, this is me. Can you see it? Can you see me? You probably can't see it because I'm in me.
No, we can see it.
So let me here we go. I'll go to the top 100. Here you go. Oh, you can see me because it's my screen. So I'm number 16. But once you get up
Oh.
here, this is where it gets like, whoa.
There's
So
Marcia
yeah.
and,
So
and Leslie.
Yep, there's Marcia. Look at Ian Davies. He hasn't been here forever. And look, he's still way high up on the list. Okay. So that's that. Now, how about we go on to trip reports? And I wonder if anybody has tried a trip report. They're over here. This is a brand new feature. It's a lot of fun. And I'm going to click on it. And here's the ones that I've made for fun. There's a lot of reasons. I'm going to start with the CBC one that I made on the day of the CBC, because this is really what got them going on it and how they collaborated with Audubon and the CBC. So here's where I did my CBC list in eBird. All these little blue things. That was my day. And if I go down to this report, I named it what it was. And these are all the birds I saw. It gives me all the birds I saw, kind of like, this is like a CBC style birding list of the day. And if I go, you can see, so Canada goose, over here on the far right, it was on 2 different lists. So I can click down and see where I saw the Canada geese. And that's fun. And eBird wants you to, whenever you go to a different site, wants you to start a new list. They don't like a list that goes on and on and on for miles and all day. I think they have, I think it's 3 hours and 5 miles are their limit, but they really prefer 1 hour and 1 mile. If you could, every time you reach those limits, start a new list. So because I went to these different sites, I made a new list for eBird in each one because I knew I could put it into a trip report and have them all together. So that's kind of the 2 different styles of birding that have merged together that works for both eBird and the CBC. And before this year, some people were putting in separate checklists, some people were putting in a list for the whole day, and all over the place.
Sarah, this is Janice. I want to say the people who had learned how to do this trip thing for the CBC, it was a piece of cake for them to fill out their form for the day, because it just had all the totals that they had in their area.
Yeah. And
And
I had 3 people who did it. And so this was my list, and I got from 2 other people who had done it this way, and they just emailed me their list. It was easy, to compile it all together. So there's other fun things you can do with it. Here's the day, East Quabbin. Now this was a Hampshire Bird Club trip, and Sally and I carpooled together. And so this was the first one I ever attempted to make. So I didn't have it together quite on, I made it after the trip. So we made all these checklists, and I made a lot of checklists knowing I was going to make a report out of it. And, but you can see where we went. That's fun. They give you the map. And we started at way down here. We started at the dam and ended all the way up going out at gate 35 and all along the east side of the Quabbin. And again, we saw 31 species. What was the highest one, Janice, we looked at? Oh, here it is, blue jays. Look at that, 13 places we saw blue jays. And it'll tell me that. Now, one thing I didn't know at the time was I shared all these lists with Sally. But what I didn't know at the time was I didn't have to do that. As I was putting them in one at a time, I would share with her. When you make a trip report, you can put it all in and then you can just boom, bulk share. All the lists go to Sally at once in one email. And then she goes to her account and chooses which one she's going to keep or not keep, and she can pick them. So
I have a question.
Yeah.
Say you decide, okay, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a trip report. Where do you you can start on your phone to do that, right? Where do you start that?
I don't
How do
think
you keep
I
adding?
don't think you can do it on your phone.
Oh,
Can
you can't. Oh, okay. Because I did this for the Christmas bird account way afterwards. You know,
Okay.
the next day I merged them all together into a trip report because I didn't know you could do that until afterwards. So I was
Right.
wondering if in this trip, the Quabbin trip, if you had said, okay, I'm going to do a trip report, if there were some kind of way to open that and then add lists as you went along.
Yeah, here's how you're going to do that. We'll do that next. We'll make a trip report.
You know,
I did the same thing, Leslie. I made this after Sally and I went on this trip. But so let's make one. So you do this before you go. And so we're going to create a trip report and we're going to call it, where should we go for the weekend, everybody? Let's go to
Great Pond.
Bali.
Plum Island.
Oh, all right, trip to Plum Island. Because we need a place where we might put in multiple lists. And we're going to go, well, let's go for the weekend, okay? Let's start it. We're going to go on the 25th. And we expect that we're going to stay there all weekend and we're going to bird 3 days. There we go. Okay. And it starts with midnight, but we know we're going to drive over there. We're not going to really start birding until noon. And I say that because you might do a couple of bird lists at home before you go. And you want this to all be Plum Island. And then you have a choice of limited, where only you see it, link only, the people see it that you send the link to, and public. And then I have to move this again. I don't know if you can see that because are the little pictures in your way? Okay.
They're not in our way.
Oh, okay.
No,
Maybe if I do that. Oh, okay, great. I just got rid of them. So they were in my way, not in your way. So now I'm ready to create it. So boom, I go. And it's in the future and it's all ready to go. So then when I'm out in the field and I start hitting submit on lists all around Plum Island for 3 days, you're going to end up with a report. Save it.
That's great.
Here it is, saved. Now there's nothing happened. So once you save it, now you go out in the field, use your phone, they will show up here.
Hey, Sarah, I have a question for you
Yeah,
with that.
yeah.
I don't know if you know the answer. So you said that we set it up to go to Plum Island in that time frame.
Yeah.
What if we birded and put a list in, let's say we saw an exciting bird in Worcester along the drive there, but it was within that time frame. Would that checklist by accident get into this Plum Island report?
It would get in there, but it's not by accident. It only follows the date and the times that you get.
So it only follows the date and the time. It's not done geographically.
Correct.
Okay.
It's
Great,
just,
thank you.
It's just date and time. And if you flew around the world in that amount of time, all your lists show up.
Great.
But you know, if you call it, see, I called it trip to Plum Island, so you could have a Worcester list.
Yeah, very clever.
And so let's see. So yay, my trip report exists. Oh, so if others were a part of this report, add them now or at any time under edit. Let's do that. Let's add. So here's what you can do. You can edit the name, dates, and visibility. So if I wanted to exclude that birding list in Worcester, I could change the time so that it wouldn't be included. Do you know what I mean?
Yes.
Let's say we were going through Worcester at 12:05 PM, so I could change this and just move it out a little bit. And then it wouldn't be part of it.
Right.
That's how that would be. And then save and view. So back to edit. So that's how you manage checklists. That's just your, oh, this is if you wanted to add and remove them. You didn't like them in there. So you can still pull ones out you don't like. Add people. This is where I could add somebody. I could add Janice, and she's going on the trip. So what'll happen is she'll have access to all the lists. And then we'll add a narrative. You can write a little paragraph about the day and the comment, and then, or you can just delete it. Those are all the things under edit. And you know, the fact that I added Janice, this is where the bulk thing came in. Now how oh, I didn't save it, I guess. That's why I didn't take Janice. But if I add her, then what happens is she's going to get an email telling her she's been invited to this trip report. And when she accepts it, then I can sign her up to receive all the lists in bulk. But we
And
can't really.
Can
Mhm.
she, as part of the trip, then submit lists that will be added to the trip list?
Oh, that's a good question. When you see owners and editors may write an ad, you have to, when you add a person, you have to decide what they can be.
Is that under role, maybe?
Yes, there it is.
Well, there
A
we go.
commenter or an editor. So if I made her an editor and she was entering lists on her phone and I'm entering lists on, well, we wouldn't though, because the whole point of it is you're going to share the lists. But she could edit them if she were an editor. Do you know what I mean? When you go on a trip and somebody shares the list with everybody,
Right.
this would just be a way to share 10 lists with everybody.
But don't they have to accept the list that you
Yeah, then they
share?
would, yeah, so what they would,
Keep-
first, Janice is going to get an email that says, you've been invited to a trip report, or I don't know exactly what it says. And then she says, accept. And then I would then see that she had accepted it. And then I would send all the lists to her in bulk, in one bulk, and she'd get another email saying the lists are all, like you get when somebody shares a list. So-and-so has shared a list with you. Click on it if you want to keep it or edit it or delete it. And she'd get them all at once. And that way I wouldn't have to send each one as we went along. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's super helpful.
It's great for trips, I think. Let's see. I think I'll get rid of this one. I'll show you one.
Do your Montana one.
Yeah, we'll look at that one. So here, this is a week, the 10th through the 16th. This is obviously one I made after the fact when I was playing. And so these are all the places I went. And these are all the birds I saw. And these are all the checklists I did. So if Janice were on this trip and I invited her to accept them all, she would see all these and could accept them all in one swoop. And it shows you species that you took pictures of. Let's see what it shows on there. Oh, see, it shows you right up front. Species with audio. It's got them all mixed in. And, oh, so lifers, there were 3 lifers. What were they? And then there were 4 photo lifers, which I think is fascinating. So eBird knows what photos I have submitted with lists, and all these birds apparently I had never submitted a photo for before. Isn't that interesting? Same with sound. So if there had been another birder with me, I would have added them. They would have gotten all this in an email with a choice to accept. Now, if, let's say, Janice had been with me and I had sent her this, you can see it's 7 days, and but let's say she was only there for 4 days. So she could take the whole thing and she could just not accept the ones that were put in after she left. So she would still have a trip report that was linked to the same trip, but she would only see her lists. Does that make sense? Okay. Well, that is, I'm not hearing anybody. Are you still there?
Sarah,
We're
yeah,
still
I
here.
have
Yeah. Looks like Beth has a question. Go ahead, Beth.
I do, thank you. I was wondering if you could go to a hotspot. I have some questions about how to read some of the data in the hotspots. Just any hotspot, it doesn't really matter which
Okay.
one.
Let's go back to that East Meadows one because it's active right now. East Meadows, Northampton. And then view the details. Okay.
No, that's not
what
what
was
I don't know. I went to, when I did it, okay, so I'm on my phone, and when I clicked on a hotspot, and it maybe it's a list, I don't know, but I went to details and it has these symbols that I don't know what means, like a red circles, and I don't know. There's some of the species have red dots next to them, and then they have red, kind of like red and white circles all the way to the right. I don't know why.
I'm pulling up East Meadows on my phone. It's taking a minute. Okay. Well, you're getting, you see where the bar charts are?
If I just click on one of the hot spots, and then I go to, then it brings up all the different locations, and I go to details. But it says that it lists the species observed, all the species that are observed at that particular place. So maybe it's not a hot spot, I don't know. But when I go into details, it lists all the species that are observed at a site, and it just has symbols next to them that I don't know what it means, what they mean.
I think I know what you mean. Okay. Can you tell me where you started? How did you get to the hotspot? What was your opening screen?
Okay. I must have gone to explore.
Okay. Yes.
And then I just zoomed into where I am and just clicked, I
Yeah.
just tapped on one of the dots.
It starts where when you open Explore, it starts where you are
Right.
physically. Goes to your location.
Right. And so then I just zoomed in, and when I
Okay.
click on like the blue teardrop or any of those there's just a location, and then you go to
Yeah.
press details, and it gives you a list of species for that location.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I got it. I just picked one, details. And okay, these little symbols.
Yeah, like the red.
So,
Yeah.
okay, so a half moon sort of orange color.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that means it's you'll see those on when you're entering birds too. That means it's unusual to be seen there at that time of year.
Okay.
If there's no symbol, like you would probably have no symbol on Canada goose because they're everywhere all the time.
Okay.
And
Do you
then
have red circles?
Yeah, what about the red circle?
Red circles mean it's on your life list.
Oh.
No, it means it's rare.
Yeah, because I don't have a life list, so it can't be that.
Do you have
So-
entries into eBird?
Yeah, I do.
Then it's your, that's what mine says. When I go on edit, I'm looking at a location near me, and then I click edit up at the top.
No, she's clicking details down at the bottom.
Yeah, I've opened details.
Yeah, you're right. It says Hampshire life list. Huh,
Yeah.
that's weird.
It
What is
means
a
it's
Hampshire?
on your life list for Hampshire County. That's all.
I didn't think I had a life list.
They make one for you.
Okay.
If you click next to Explore where it says My eBird,
Yes.
down at the bottom of your phone,
Uh-huh.
that's where you'll get your life list.
Okay. Okay, so that's helpful. So the circle, so in terms of the orange circles, the more colored in that circle is, the more rare the bird is. Is that how to read that?
Yes.
Okay. For that,
Okay.
okay.
And if it's all the way colored in and you're going to enter that on a list, it's going to ask
Question
you,
you. Yeah.
well, it's going to ask you to justify it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's going to ask you to say, oh, this is because I'm on the computer. This takes longer on the computer. Okay, so if I go to, so here's all the list on the computer. If I add rarities by clicking over here on the right, it's going to say rare, rare, rare. But on your
Mhm.
phone, it uses those circles instead.
Okay, I see.
Yeah. And the half moon is unusual.
Okay.
But if it's a solid circle, then it's rare. And if you said that if you put in something that was rare, like one snow goose here, when I go to, let's see if it's gonna, I'm surprised it didn't. Let's put another one. Let's just do a bunch of them. Let's see a bunch of rare things. Aha, see, it wants me to talk about it, and I would say, a medium-sized goose with white, with black wingtips, I'd write it all, I'd describe it, what I saw. And so that they know that you saw what you saw. And
So actually
this same screen pops up on your phone when you hit a solid circle bird.
Okay. And I guess that gets to another question of mine, which is that if you're still feeling like you're a beginner birder, what do you suggest in terms of submitting your lists?
You mean in terms of something rare?
No, and it's anything. I mean, I guess, or just how sure do you want to be before you submit your list for anything, really?
Well, think about it this way. If you're out birding, let's just say there's no eBird, and you go out birding and you come home and you write down in your journal what you saw. That's really what it is. How confident are you in what you saw? So just, you don't have to, let me see if I can. So another thing you can do, though, you'll see this if you look at other people's lists, and they might put in one mallard, but they weren't sure. Was it a mallard or was it a black duck? Or was it a hybrid? I'm not really sure. So you could put in, some people will put it in and say, I saw this mallard. I'm 90% sure it was a mallard. This is all for you. It's not a rare bird. Nobody's going to worry about it. And yet I wasn't 100% sure. I'm going back tomorrow to take a picture of it or something like that. You can write about it right in there. That's why they let you write.
Oh, okay.
And you'll see sometimes people will put in, that's why they have some of these hybrids too. This looked this looked like 99% like a mallard, but there was just something a little different about it that made me think black duck. And so I'm putting it like this. And but when you do something you're not sure of, that's what you should do, is write about it.
Okay.
And if you are not sure about it, you can always just put in, they have a lot of ways to put in duck species, that kind of
Oh,
thing.
I've
You
seen
know,
that.
Here,
Okay.
here's goose. So you saw goose, you weren't sure what it was. So that's on your, that will satisfy you. Then you could describe it, because the list is for you.
Mhm.
And it's also for eBird. It's an equal purpose. So you want to do it in ways that you can understand what you were doing that day when you look at your list 10 years from now. But you also want to try to make it as scientifically correct as you can. So if you can't
Mhm.
identify the goose, just put in goose species.
Okay. That's helpful. Thank you.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard because especially when you get to a rare bird and, it can make you very nervous, but
Mhm.
just remember it's, I mean, it is people there really are scientists who are trying to use the data, and they want to make sure that it's the best data they can get. And when you're collecting data from all over the world from people, you have to look at it and decide whether or not you're going to use it when you're the scientist. And when
Mhm.
you're the scientist collecting data in the field for yourself, for your own study, the same thing happens. A lot of times you have to throw out your data because it just wasn't, sure enough. And that's why when you read scientific articles, they say, well, this is what our conclusions are, yet we really had a small sample size, so we can't say 100% it was that way. So they have sort of ways in which to let you know that they weren't 100% sure. Does that make sense?
Very much so. Thank you.
Okay. And you will, I mean, if you enter in a rare bird, you will get an eBird, an email from the reviewer asking you to clarify your citing. And that's all they're trying to do. They're all volunteers, and they're just trying to improve the data. And if you say, well, I only caught a glimpse of it, that's what I thought it was, they're fine with that. They just want to know. They may not do what they call confirm it for scientific use, but it stays on your list no matter what. That makes sense?
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Okay.
Are there
Well,
questions?
I see some chat questions. It is 8 o'clock. We should mention that to people.
We've taken care of the chat questions. Henry is happy because you answered his question.
Oh, that's nice. Good, Henry. And Mary Alice is probably disappointed that I couldn't find better weekly.
She's muted. Mary Alice, unmute yourself.
I'm happy, I'm happy, I'm happy.
Oh, good. Well,
Any other questions?
we're going to have snow tomorrow. So go out birding in the morning because the birds will be jittery before the storm comes, and you might come across something interesting. And then you got to go out right away on Friday to see what the storm dumps on us. There might be something very unusual that comes in on the wind.
Well, if there are no
so
more
much, Sarah.
questions, no last minute, what if? Everybody got their questions answered?
Yes, thank you, Sarah. Every
Oh.
time you do this, I learn more.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Well, we'll do it again sometime. All right.
Thank you.
I'll see you
Okay,
on
thank you
Monday.
very much, Sarah.
you.
Safe travels.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Bye.
Sarah.
And
All
keep
right.
going
Good night,
up in that
everyone.
list, Leslie. Leslie's moving up.
Oh, good.
We get out there a lot.
Yes, I see that.
Good.
That's
Okay.
good.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Laura,
Bye,
you gonna
everybody.